Alright, the project for today is going to be finish up this woodwork. Alright, the project for today is going to be finish up this woodwork here and try to get that up there as well, right across the top of the hatch. So I have some finish I'm gonna put in here, but first what I gotta do is wash this because it's got some wax and stuff on it from the last time I waxed it, and then after that I'll scrape some of it to get some of the old finish off there and clean it up, and then try to put this new varnish on there. Alright, so here's what I'm trying to do here. So right now this part right here is mostly unfinished. It's just the bare teak, and then it does have some finish on the edges here where it's been protected by the slides, and all this stuff has worn off. I've never finished this before, so it's been a while since it's been done. So one thing you have to be careful with teak or any wood really is if I take the scrub brush and I scrub like this pretty hard, then what's going to happen is the stiff bristles are going to get into the softer parts of the wood and start gouging them out, and it's going to leave the harder parts, so it's going to make it pretty rough. So these are already pretty rough, so I've been kind of lightly doing this to try to get as much gunk out of there as you can. Some of the stuff, the darker spots that you see in here, that's actually like a fungus that grows, or a mold or something that grows in the grain. It's difficult to get out. To really clean this, you probably need to, if you weren't going to sand it, you would probably need to go put some sort of chemical on there to kill all that stuff to get it out. But what I'm going to try to do is try to scrub it up a little bit with the brush, kind of judiciously. Go over with the green scrubby, which will get it pretty flat and clean. Then I'm going to go over it with a cabinet scraper, and then just to smooth it out and take all the high spots of the harder wood out of there. And then after I do a cabinet scraper, I'm debating whether or not I want to I kind of want to avoid sanding it, just because we're at the marina and I don't want to get dust all over. So cabinet scraper usually gets pretty smooth, so that's probably what I'll do, is scrub them up, cabinet scraper, and then go ahead and put that varnish on. This is what the teak looks like after it's been cleaned, and you can see it's no longer has that gray color. You can still see in here it's got some of the growth in there in some of these spots, which I'm going to have to try to get out with the scraper. And then eventually what will happen is, as this oxidizes, it will start to turn gray again, as that bacteria, or it's not a bacteria, but it's a fungus or an algae or something that grows in there, that stuff will start to grow back and it'll turn gray. So in the midst of this project, we're going to go out and sail a little bit. So I'm having a quick lunch before I go. I got the special peanut butter and jelly on all the leftover bread in the refrigerator, peanut butter and jelly on hamburger bun, peanut butter and jelly on pita. Alright, so the winds were a little deceptive. It looked like it was light winds when we were back at the dock, and now winds are actually pretty good, so we should be able to get some sailing out here. There's the Harbor Queen coming in to Annapolis. Alright, so The winches that I greased last time, they sound great. I was initially thinking that a lot of the squeaks and stuff were coming from the line itself, but we just did a quick tack here a second ago, and all the winches are making like no sound after that grease that we did last time. So next up is to do the other two up here on the cabin top, and even though those don't sound bad at all, because they're protected most of the time under the Dodger. So next step, get those two greased up. We are back from sailing, and I'm all sweaty and everything because it's hot as heck, and I just finished buttoning up the boat. And it's hot here, but it was very nice out there. We had very good winds, probably like around 11 knots the whole time. So we were moving like 6 knots most of the time. I had all 3 sails up, and it was a nice little cruise. We got pretty far out there, came back, and now I'm going to turn my attention back to this wood. I think I'm just going to work on these 2 parts right here for now. So what I did, and you can probably hear water. I got water running in the background because I'm emptying the water tank so I can put new water in there. But anyway, so I've cleaned this up, and it needs scraped. So what I'm going to use is a cabinet scraper. So cabinet scraper is just a piece of metal like this, and you sharpen it by taking this handy dandy little sharpener, and it's at an angle, and you rub it against the edge, and it curls over the edge just a little bit. So when you take it into the wood and you bend it and then push it down like that, it peels off a layer of the wood, just almost like sandpaper, but maybe just a little finer than sandpaper will. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape these, see if I can get them to smooth out, and then try to throw a coat of that varnish on there. Alright, so I got everything taped up, and what I'm using is this Interlux Schooner Gold. It's the first time using that, so we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to go ahead and get this covered up. So I've got 1 coat on so far, and I think you're supposed to have like 4 to 6 coats or something like that. So and it takes forever to dry in between. I think it said at least 16 hours or something like that between coats. 4 hours to be tacky, and 16 hours before coat. So I'm gonna have to do this over some number of days here, but it already looks much better with that coat on there. So that's 1 coat. I'll probably do 4 coats. 3 more to go. So while I'm waiting for that stuff to dry, I am wrapping the wheel. And actually just this one quadrant right here, because This is the top of the wheel, so this is the center. I had a piece of the painter's tape on here that I had on there forever. It originally had a wheel wrap on it, the whole thing. It was all crusty and ugly looking, so I took that off, and I marked it up to the top just to see where the center was. So I'm just going to put this piece on from here to here, and that's going to be marking the center. Okay, that's done. That should help find the center a little better and not be as ugly as a piece of painter's tape. This wrap that I use is a little different than I think what you see traditionally is the spiral wrap. And I didn't want to do the spiral wrap because when you do that, you have to pass the entire bundle of the running end of the line that you're using back through every knot. So it's a pain in the butt to do. So this one, you don't have to do that. You can just pull from the end and go from there. So it's on there pretty tight. It's not sliding around. It's a little pretty soft, and it looks better than painter's tape. Alright, so this project is well underway. I've already got 2 coats on this part here, 1 coat there, 1 coat on the boards. So what I'm supposed to put like at least 2 to 4 coats, but you're supposed to let it dry for at least 12 hours in between coats. Right now it's been sitting for a couple hours. It's tacky, and of course I'm the type of person who likes to read the instructions after I do the thing, and so I did that with the first part because I did this part here first, and apparently it works better if you put a mix of the varnish and thinner on first in the first 2 coats. It probably lets it soak into the wood better if it's thinner. So I didn't really do that much on this one. I went ahead and did that on the other 2, and then I went ahead back over this with some thinner just to thin it out, clean it up. So I'll probably put a couple more coats on. I'm not really concerned about the mirror finish. I just want to protect it and make it look a good color all the time. That's probably about it for now. I'm probably going to wrap this video up just because I've been making it for 2 weeks now. Now that I'm back at work, it's hard to do the videos every week just because I don't have the time during the week to edit. And I'll come back probably sometime next week and put another coat on here, maybe a couple times next week, put a couple coats on. But that's all for now. And there goes the horn. Next week got a trip planned and on the weekend, and that's about it. That's all for now. See you folks some other time.